I'd like to call to order the meeting of the King George County School Board. Our invocation this evening will be done by Wanda Crenshaw.
Thank you for having me. I don't take this lightly when I have to stand before the Lord to open up in prayer. But first, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself so you know who is standing before you. Let me put my glasses on. My name is Wanda Crenshaw. My husband and I are both ordained ministers in our church, and we have been for about 8 years. I'm talking behind you guys, I'm sorry. We've been in King George County for 18 years. My husband is retired Air Force. I have some notes so I can remember. We've raised 2 children in the King George County system. We came here 18 years ago. My son was in 5th grade and my daughter was in 10th grade. And my kids were very upset that I was bringing them to the country. And my son was in 5th grade and he thought he was going into 6th grade. But at that time, 6th grade was in elementary. So he was very upset with me that he had to go back to elementary school. But my husband was stationed at the Pentagon and we had to drive this far so my kids wouldn't get swallowed up in the bigger school system. So King George the school system has been good to us. That's enough about me, so I'm going to go into prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you right now. We just usher you into this place, Lord. We ask you to have your way in this meeting, Lord. We come before you, Lord, and we know that there's nothing that you can't do. So we thank you for this. Lord, I pray over the school board members right now, Lord. I just ask you to clear their minds, Lord, from all the distraction of today, Lord, so that they can make wise decisions concerning the schools. Father, we just thank you for wisdom and guidance. Father God, I thank you for the right decisions. Father, I thank you for clarity, direction tonight. Make your presence known in this place tonight. Let this meeting be productive and let them achieve what they came here to do. Father, we just thank you. We're giving you all the glory, Lord, for tonight. And it is in the mighty name of Jesus. And everyone say amen.
Thank you. And now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance presented by Mr. Nelson's first grade class. And after that, we will have our moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Now we want to hear a little bit about your class, Mr. Nelson.
All right, well, thanks for having us. If you guys want to sit. So I thought about what I wanted to highlight, and we do a lot of really cool stuff in first grade. And I was like, yeah, we have so many cool things we could show everybody. But then I thought more about it, and I was like, we should show everybody what we do or something that we do every day, because it's probably one of the most important things I think we do every day. So I'm going to show everybody one of our UFly lessons, which is a literacy lesson. And the reason I'm showing it is because it's evidence-based, and I get that evidence from my classroom. It's the most effective thing that we do every day. So And the reason it's effective is because it targets their phonemic awareness. And I've had 100% effectiveness rate with it so far this year. The kids that I've had at the beginning of the year have the ones that were considered at risk for on their vowels went from that category either to the next one or the highest category, every single one of them. So the way it works is we go through a couple warm-ups, and then we do a lot of word work, which is not only fun, it's fast-paced, and it's engaging for them. So I'll have you guys go ahead and start with the word rag. So this kind of forces them to engage their phonemic awareness. They have to sound out that word. They have to find the letters in the alphabet where those letters are. And then we start switching it up, which accesses all different parts of their brain. So now we're going to take rag and we're going to change it to brag. So what do we have to do to change rag to brag? We have rag. All right, so at this point, I love this part because a lot of first graders are waiting for me to tell them what they did wrong. But this is the part where I say, look at your words, say all the sounds of your word. Go ahead. Your job. Say the sounds. Point to each letter, say the sounds. Okay, are you missing a sound? There you go. And so if they miss a sound, they get to look at it and they're building that phonemic awareness because they're correcting themselves instead of somebody saying, you're supposed to have an R there. Their brain is realizing that that word has an R sound and I didn't have one. All right, so now change it to bag. And it's usually a lot more fast paced and can be done in smaller groups or whole groups. Okay, and now they're realizing that they needed to take that R out. All right, so let's change the B to a T. Okay, let's read the word. Good job. All right. They're like, why are you giving me such easy words? All right, now let's change the G to a P. Did I give you the wrong one? I'm sorry. All right. What's your word? Tap. The G. Yep. The G to a P. All right. Hard one. We're going to take tap and we're going to change it to trap. This is the part where I tell everybody to look at the poster in my room that says the only words that start with CHR are Christmas, Christian, and Christopher. Because the first grade brain hears trap, they hear CHR, but it's not CHR, right, guys? What makes that sound? And then they get a chance to go back to the word, say each sounds, And when they see that CH, they know that that's not the first sound, and they can fix it. Great job. All right. Last one, change the ah to an I. So I love this because there's lots of variations. You don't have to just change a letter. You could say change a sound. You could say change this word to this word. And it's, now read the word. Good job. It's forcing your brains to make all kinds of realizations on their own, which is the best way, I think, to learn anything. And again, I just wanted to highlight this because I'm really proud of these guys, number one, and number two, I think it's a very simple literacy strategy that's super, super effective, and we've gotten great results with this in our classroom. And I wish we could do a lot more with this because there's so much to this curriculum. So thanks for having us, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson's class and Mr. Nelson. That was a great presentation. You guys are so smart. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Okay, we'll just skip public comment then. We'll move right to superintendent's comment.
Nothing additional, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I'll make sure I provide everything needed.
Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to change the agenda for the closed meeting and add the superintendent's review in there.
Do I have a motion then? Do we need a motion for that? We do. A motion to add the superintendent's contract to our discussion.
I make a motion to add the superintendent's agenda to the contract. I mean contract. What did I say? Agenda?
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next, so was that presentation the presentation that was at the, that was, okay.
You want me to start? Hi, I'm Teresa Owen. I teach third grade at Sealston. Last year, we actually did something that we kind of talked about and threw around for a little bit. This is just a little bit about us. You're welcome to read about. I've been teaching for 17 years, and she's been teaching for how long? 9-ish. Mm-hmm. But we worked last year. She was the special ed teacher. I was the regular education teacher. Let me see if I can get. Oh, okay. Did I go? Is that the right one? So what we decided to do is get together and decided, you know, we never have a lot of success with having special education children really make a lot of growth or, you know, be able to ever really pass SOLs. And so we love reaching kids, and we came up with this kind of like a hybrid model. So the typical model that you see is one of two. It's either the self-contained, where the students, the special education students, are pulled out of the classroom with the special education teacher and taught away from their peers at a level they need, because it's drastically lower usually than the rest of their peers in their class. While they're separated, what we learned was they get a lot of great information, but they don't get everything they need, mainly the general curriculum. I was pulling out my students the whole hour of for math, they were only focusing on their weaknesses that they were not eligible for. So we were just focusing on it works. Sorry, teeth for grapes.
So what we decided to do was that because for the hour that they're in my classroom being taught their foundational skills using a research-based intervention, which we do Sunday system, they were not getting access to the curriculum within Ms. Owen's classroom. So then why are we expecting them to ever pass the SOL if they're never being taught that information? Because I don't have time in the self-contained setting to be able to teach that material because we're working on the foundational skills. So Teresa and I decided, okay, what if we took some of our students on my caseload? I had 9 at the time that were getting reading self-contained fully for the whole hour. And if we were to cut that time in half to where they would get 30 minutes of self-contained and then 30 minutes of push-in, and to see if we would see any difference in their MAP scores.
So before that, really quick, we're talking about what the inclusion part is. So this is the other typical way that you see special education children see the everything. So basically, the inclusion model is you either have a special education teacher or para come into the classroom and they get, you know, extra assistance as they need it, however they need it inside the classroom. The problem with this model, they don't have that specialized instruction that they need for a certain area. Typically, it's in phonics. As you saw, actually, it was perfect timing with him doing the model he did, using, you know, the phonics, things like that. They really weren't getting it because by 3rd grade, you do get phonics, you don't get it as in depth as they need it. And so we came up with an inclusion model, which basically combines both of them. They, for 30 minutes, get pulled out with Miss Robinson, and they worked on phonics, where they needed it, how they needed it, and it was very specialized for them because there's only a lot less children in that classroom. And then for the rest of the time, which was 30 plus minutes, depending, they would come back to my room, and she would come back with them. Or if for whatever reason she wasn't available, we'd have a special education para come in there to do that job, where in the inclusion method, they get to be in the classroom with their peers, experience everything on a 3rd grade level, which they're going to experience in the world. They're not always going to be pulled out for everything. And that way they get absolutely everything they need on both parts, but combined into a day. Does it make a little more hectic with scheduling? 100%. But honestly, what we've seen is it's really worth it. This is kind of what it would look like. We have phonics, the Sunday system or Sunday system, which is what Ms. Robinson did, whole group and small group, generally with me. But also the great thing about having her come in with me, she could pull groups, she could pull small groups, which, yes, they typically was just the special education students, but she was also there to help out. Absolutely. She was always there to support everybody else. And so working together is key in this model. Oh, look at that. Isn't that fancy? I wrote that up. Communication is key. I think that's the key to everything, really, but really in this, just because it's so many puzzle pieces that have to go together at a right time, knowing when to pull them, knowing what you're pulling them for, knowing that, okay, today we have a test, we're going to skip this part and do this. Having that communication with the person that you're working with is huge, and it really is super important in this kind of model. We're going to skip over this right now. This is a really awesome video. Yeah, it was apparently not saved. Yeah, we can skip it. Nope, you're fine. All right, so the coolest thing that I find in my job that's most rewarding is seeing their growth. And it helps me, right? Absolutely. Well, I'm going to go up there and be louder because I want to point out some things that are really awesome. Lovely. Now I'm going to just shaking a lot. So it's really awesome to see is in these models, if you look from here to here, they take this test. It's a standardized test called the MAP test across the entire country. And so it's normed for the country. Obviously red, you don't want them in. The dotted line is right where they should be. It's like the average. From here in 2nd grade, every 2nd grader takes it here to kind of usually test them, get them ready for gifted, seeing where they are, everything like that. So this is in 2nd grade. And then kind of like the summer area, this is beginning of 3rd grade. If you look here, you can see the exponential growth that this child made in a short amount of time. I mean, from fall to winter.
And that was using where I was about 30 minutes to focus on their weaknesses in reading and
And then one of the most important things, if you look, it says 90th percentile for growth. That means they have made, out of everyone who took it, only 10% of the people who took it, the kids who took it, got more growth than them. So that's an amazing amount of growth. Now, of course, the achievement is low. They already started low, but it's looking at how much growth they've made in that amount of time is huge. And then we can look at the other one. This one, oh, did it work? Oh, nice. So this one goes back a little further. This was second grade. They didn't take it here because they weren't here. But then if you look, they're already almost up to right where they should be. The amount of growth this child made, it really was phenomenal. And again, 95th percentile of growth. That's huge, especially with these children who need most help. The next one. This is our PALS. It's now called VALS. And just showing how the child started at second grade. This was not an independent level. This was one that it's right where they were learning. And they made it all the way up to third grade independently. That means with no help. The little star means they were a little slower with fluency, which will come. But seeing the growth there is big. And then next. This is probably my favorite student because me and her, we battled out with this kid. I mean, look how far he isn't in the red. But this also is a big key to building relationships. He is now in fourth grade, above average. And this is probably, these few kids that we did it with, unfortunately, we couldn't do it with the whole grade level. We were piloting it, I guess you could say, last year. We're seeing the same growth with our kids this year. So, and actually, if we go on, I have some, and again, this going from a kindergarten-ish level, starting out to up to first grade or higher. And then one more for me. Again, you can see the growth. It's just to show you the huge growth right there. That is the time that we did our hybrid program. And then one more, we're good. It just shows. Okay, this is the coolest thing. We had 2 teams who were doing reading. We couldn't do it with one team. This is their data, so you can kind of compare it, not saying anyone's less, but you can see when they get both sides of the, what they need, how it really affects them. So this really shows that even the exposure, whether they can read it on their own or not, they have the assistance in there. I mean, the data speaks for itself. This actually right here, they did this in fourth grade this year. They're using the model that we are using. So yes, they're making growth the other way, but not quite as exponentially as the way we do it, where they're exposed to both sides of the education they need. And yeah, so there's just a few more examples. And then, so why is it important for our kids? I mean,
academics, we have social teams, building relationships with staff. They don't feel like they're being included by being pulled out of the classroom. They feel as though that they are being included, as it's called the inclusion model. Working with Ms. Owen, it was really nice because we would have service times where I would pull them for a little bit longer so that we could work on something extra. Or if Ms. Owen was doing some sort of project, I would push in and still provide them services. I would just provide those services through her classroom as well, through the inclusion part, so that they could get that piece. And she was doing a fun game where it was like going to all the games that you do in there. If that's what the kids wanted to do, let's do it. So I would push in. We didn't do the same thing every day. The importance of this for our kids is this: by the time they hit third grade, if they're not at a certain level, that gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And for us on the special ed side, it gets harder for us, and that's why we do our job. But if we don't have this type of teamwork in our schools, especially at the elementary level, and with all of them, we're only doing a disservice to the kids if we're not exposing them to what we were able to do.
We need to remember that nothing is set in stone and everything needs to be adjusted as they need it. And what we're seeing is that they need this now. They need both sides. That's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions?
I mean, that deserves a standing ovation, really. I mean, thank you for doing that. We're all on the same page as far as we're trying to reach those grades, second and third, with reading, everything. And you guys saw a need and created a solution. And then the teamwork, the vulnerability of coming up here and showing us all that and bringing data and everything. Thank you for me, because you're making such a huge impact on those children for the rest of their lives. They won't remember you maybe, but you taught them that those, yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Is this going on in all of the schools, all of the elementary schools, or just Sealston?
This is something, I'm not sure about the other schools, but usually, typically, they use one or the other. They don't use both.
For class, just for class.
They've just piloted it right now. It's usually inclusion or self-contained. The hybrid model is something that they have tried to do into a pilot model, and it's beautiful. You guys did an awesome job. This is so amazing to see, and just to see your passion and energy and the way that you're going above and beyond is notable. So thank you guys so much for that effort.
Dr. Ward, is this something we can work on with all three of the elementary schools?
I think it's something we should certainly explore here. Yeah, absolutely.
At all elementary schools this year, we are doing a whole group 60-minute push-in where all students are exposed to grade level content, and that's based on the Virginia Literacy Act and the expectations, because as a state level, we've seen that this type of model is working across the state. So all three elementary schools are using it in their grade levels. Is it done with fidelity at all times? No, due to staffing, and we're managing the best we can, but when we are doing it, we are seeing the impact and the results on a regular basis.
Awesome.
Sandy, I think I can see an impact in this with retention and social promotion also. I think this would have a tremendous impact there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We can get
like our students that were in Ms. Owens' class and that were on my caseload last year, they've been in the same SPED cluster since kindergarten. So they only know those kids in that group. Yeah. And then on top of the social piece, they're kind of singled out, seeing that those are the kids that have to go and get special ed all the time or that type of thing. So pushing them back in and having them build relationships with other peers and then peer modeling that way has been really beneficial for school.
And honestly, children learn more from each other than they do from us. You know, they get the big information from us, but they learn all the details with their peers. So, you know,
I definitely think there's something we should follow up on, and I will be sure that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Frank,
thank you.
You hear me?
Thank you so much.
You're impressed.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Now it's time to hear from our student reps. Eric, would you like to go first?
Sure. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Eric. I am the middle school representative to the school board. So a couple things. The Scholastic Book Fair begins at the KGMS Library on tomorrow, on Tuesday, and runs through Friday. They will be open from 5 to 7:30 on Friday for the Back to the 80s play, which will be at the middle school. Right on top of that, Back to the 80s, the middle school play will be on from April 9th to 11th, so this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 6 p.m. We have concessions, and dinner is just $5. The Rising Sixth Grade Parent Night is April 23rd from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at KGMS. And obviously, like, part of the PAGE program, which is why I was gone for a few months, I missed a lot of the high school preparation stuff that was done throughout January and February. And I can already feel that sort of making an effect on my preparation for high school. I didn't get to go visit. I didn't get to do the information stuff. I had people gather that information for me, but it's definitely a difference. So I'd highly urge, if you have a rising sixth grader that's entering the middle school next year, please attend because they have a lot of information. The middle school is a lot bigger than any of the elementary schools. It'll help them find their way around, and it's just all around a great thing. Finally, the eighth grade dance will be on April 25th, starting at from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale at lunch for $15. It is a semi-formal event, so you don't need to come in a tuxedo, but we don't want to see, sweatpants. Additionally, it is Mardi Gras themed, so there will be Mardi Gras beads that will be provided for each student at the dance. But if you want to bring something themed, a themed outfit, that's not just, accepted, but we would love to see that. And I think that's about it. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. When did you say was the middle school open house?
The April 23rd from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
Thanks for that plug.
If you would like a tour of the high school, I'm sure we can arrange that with.
I can help you out, Eric.
Yeah, you didn't miss the opportunity. We can still do that for you.
Okay, yeah, I visited it one time during tag in 7th grade, but that's the extent of my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Savannah, thank you for your input tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Savannah Nelson. I'm one of the high school representatives alongside Chad Brown. So we're coming into near the ending of fourth quarter. A lot of students are getting excited about that. And one of the big things on everybody's list is prom is coming up, which is going to be a great night for everybody. Students are getting excited, but need to stay in class and try to keep engaged at the same time. As for sports, we're rolling heavy into our spring season. All of our spring sports seasons, such as track, softball, baseball, soccer, they're all off to a really great start. Games are typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I encourage all of you, if you have the time, come out and support our Foxes. They work really hard. These student athletes are very talented, and they could use the support from our community. As for NJROTC, we had our military ball this past Saturday. This was an amazing experience for everybody that attended, and it's cadet-led, meaning that the students in the program were the ones that put on this ball for people to show up. We had 281 guests show up, and among those were representatives from our Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, and the VFW also showed up for this event. Along with, we were able to recognize some of our all of our graduating seniors, which there are 13 of. We have one cadet who will be attending a military academy, the Merchant Marine Academy. We have 9 cadets that will be attending various 4-year universities. One cadet will be attending a 2-year school. One cadet will be enlisting in the United States Air Force. And one cadet is on a full ride scholarship to Virginia Tech, where he will then become a officer in the Navy. As for our CTE department, they just had the reverse career fair. Now, this is an amazing experience for these students. This is comprised of juniors, as it's mostly in our economics department that this reverse career fair is put on by. And it's for different people and different jobs to come in, talk to our students, and the students have their presentation of, this is who I am, this is what I want to do in my future, and this is how I plan on getting there. And then other people in these professions come in and interview them. So it's a mock interview for them that can prepare them for the future. It's also great for them to get that resume builder, especially as a junior is important because they will be applying to college soon. Now, band just recently had their huge assessment, and they received an excellent score, so that's great for our band as well. And we have the feet meet coming up this Thursday, which will be during school. This is a great event for our students, our special needs students, to come out and showcase our athleticism. And our school has multiple volunteers that are going to be out there helping out. And that's all I have, other than SOLs are coming up, the AP exams are coming up for students, so they're really working hard studying for that. And we're looking forward to wrapping up the school year strong. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Savannah. Does anybody have any questions for Savannah? Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Yes, Madam Chair, pursuant to State Code 2.2-371A of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene in a closed meeting to review hires, substitutes, and resignations, and for review specifically the superintendent's contract as permitted under 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We're now in closed session. Do I have a motion to return to open meeting?
Motion to return. To
No, you have to read that.
Oh. Go ahead, whoever's on there.
I move that the King George County School Board return to open session and certify that pursuant to State Code Section 2.2-3712D, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body.
Second. Oh, and certify.
So certify.
Certify.
Chair votes. Certify. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to accept the results from the actions resulting from the closed meeting?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the actions resulting from closed meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, now let's move along to the consent agenda. We have our meeting minutes from the 10th and the 17th of our regular meeting, our joint meeting, and then we have a disciplinary hearing minutes as well. Does anybody have any objections to any of those minutes? No. Can we approve them all at once? If so, can I have a motion to do so?
Yes, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve them all at once. We've already got that. Okay. Yes, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the March 10, March 17, the disciplinary hearing, and the March 17 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Now we have a presentation regarding I'm sorry, not a presentation. We have a grant that we have to.
Yes.
I would like to hear about.
Yes, so we have an action item this evening. So King George County Schools were awarded a summer virtual Virginia tuition grant. There was a competitive grant process, and King George County Schools had received funding for free course enrollments available through the Virtual Virginia Summer Session 2025. This achievement highlights our commitment to supporting students, particularly those taking high school credits or credit recovery courses needed for graduation requirements. So what this is the opportunity for us to support tuition for students that take summer credit recovery courses through Virtual Virginia. My recommendation is to approve the funds for the Virtual Virginia grant for summer tuition.
Do I have a motion to approve the grant?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept and award the terms of the Virtual Virginia Summer Session 2025 grant.
Second.
Any discussion or questions about this?
Yes, Dr. Boyd.
Yes, sir.
Does this doesn't lock us into Virtual Virginia, does it?
for this grant, you mean in what fashion?
Well, we had discussed that.
No, this is not for the Virtual Virginia Academy. This is just for this grant is just for students that are interested in taking summer courses through Virtual Virginia for credit recovery. So this is an entirely separate thing. Okay.
Madam Chair, do we have to add the amount? It's 5,625.
Yes, please do
Motion.
add that.
You want it's on the second page, Mr. Frank.
$5,625.
In the amount of $5,625.
Second. Maybe I'll have to vote on it because it's money.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Now, I understand that we need to appoint a superintendent's designee.
Yes, Madam Chair. Each year around this time, we are required by the Virginia Department of Education to approve an authorized person to sign all Virginia Department of Education reports, documents, requisitions, and other official correspondence in the absence of myself. My recommendation is to authorize and approve Dr. Troy Wright as the designee for signature in the absence of the superintendent for a term of July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
I make a motion to authorize and approve Dr. Wright as the designee for superintendent from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next, we have a discussion regarding legislative positions for the VSBA. I don't think that we had any interest in that, but
That's all we need to know, Madam Chair. So that we just make sure that the board is aware of this. If there's any particular legislative positions you would like to take, this is the time of year where we consider those. We have not done that in the past. However, we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of the process. What will happen next is we'll receive notification of Virginia School Board's legislative positions, which we will discuss and vote on. And then, Kathy, I think you're the representative that goes to the VSBA conference to cover the legislative agenda as far as King George is concerned. So I think we're good there. Thank you.
okay, now moving on to the policy updates. Let's start with the student liaison to the school board policy.
Yes, Madam Chair. So again, we went through the VSBA policies through the consent agenda last time that were not really substantive in nature. These policies, I think there's a total of 8 of them tonight. They have a little more substance, not a whole lot at all, but we will go through those individually and get the consensus of the board before we move forward. So the first one is student representatives to the school board. If you go down, you can see that they've changed the word student liaison to student representative. And then the underlined title there, or the underlined sentence in the second paragraph, the school board establishes the following procedure related to the appointment of student representatives from enrolled students in the school division. That is our practice and policy moving forward. Not a lot of substantive change there, but it is a VSBA update.
I make a motion to approve the revised policy of BBBB as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Yes, I'll just continue to go, Madam Chair.
Faster down.
I'm going to DN next. Okay, next policy is DN, disposal of surplus items. Again, not a lot of change here. They just changed where it said he, she in that third paragraph to the actual title of the person, which is the purchaser. They added school in front of division. And honestly, the other items are not much different either. You can see at the end, they capitalized school board. So again, we're familiar with this. I think at this point, this is a VSBA update that's not a whole lot different there.
I move that we accept the policy revision for DN as written.
Second. Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Next policy, Madam Chair, is GBEA. This is drug and alcohol-free workplace. This is one that we have updated, but now VSBA has updated on top of our updates. So you'll see the stuff that we've already looked at before. VSBA has put in that title of that first full paragraph, prohibited conduct and the notice of any type of conviction is responsible to be reported to the school board. There is a notice down there, or a change down towards the end of that first paragraph, which is discipline as outlined below. I won't go through all these because you guys can look at them. There's not a whole lot of substantive change. You can see they're just capitalizing some things and changing some smaller words that really don't change the substance too much.
Make a motion to approve policy revision GBEA as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Next policy is GBLA, third-party complaints against employees. Again, not much of a substantive change. You look at the very end of this policy, and that last paragraph, the complaint should be filed as soon as possible after the alleged incident, usually within 15 school days, and will be processed promptly, usually within 15. It was, I think, days, and now they made sure it said school. And then you've got some updated legal references and cross references, and all of that checks out.
Make a motion. Go ahead. Make a motion to approve GBLA as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
I have a question about this one.
Okay. Sorry.
So, Dr. Boyd, what happens if there isn't 15 school days left?
Good question. We would treat those as business days, I would assume, leading into the summer, Monday through Friday.
Do you think we need to?
That is a good question. Yeah,
It probably needs to be fixed.
we could adjust it.
Well, it could also be addressed the following year when school starts again.
15 business days would be, well, we would probably want to do it before the following year, though.
I would say business days.
We could change it to business days.
Days, because business wouldn't even really be come into play if there's no school, right? Or I guess there would be. Cause
No, it just
We're
makes
still in, we would still be under business.
Yeah.
Business would be appropriate. Does that sound appropriate to the board? We can make an amended motion.
want to do that.
I'll make an amended motion to accept the. I don't have to look at this. Accept the policy changes for GBLA with the exception of changing 15 school days to 15 business days.
Oh, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay, next policy is GCB-R. This is our current policy titled Procedures for Receiving Prior Credit. If you take a look at this policy, we've changed procedures to guidelines. And really, bullets, as I go through them 1 through 4, remain the same as our current policy. When we get into bullet 5, that's the one that's going to change. Okay, that current policy is non-classroom experience. This is what it was before. Non-classroom experience may be given credit according to need and judgment. 2 years of work experience will equal 1 year of classroom experience. If you skip down quickly to 6, it references military service. 1 year of 1 year of credit may be given for every 5 years of military service. Go back now to the underlined section. What we want to replace 5 with, which would consider both of those scratch sections, are 5 would now be other work experience. A, credit may be given for teaching positions for non-classroom experience according to need and judgment. 2 years of full-time experience will equal 1 year of classroom experience. This includes years of military service. B, the superintendent or supervisor of human resources may make exceptions for good cause. And C, this becomes effective July 1, 2025. finally, at the very end, deviations from these guidelines require the approval of the division superintendent or designee.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Dr. Boyd, do you worry that B, the superintendent or supervisor of human resources may take exceptions for good cause, might open a door? Like, I guess give an example of that. If you
So what we would probably consider there is every year the state of Virginia pushes out a list of critical need teaching shortage areas. There's a top 10 list. So good calls in that instance would be if we're having a very difficult time addressing needs that we have in critical shortage areas, then good calls would be to consider that bullet A, where we would give previous
goes
credit.
in line with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve document policy
GCB-R regulation.
back up, sorry. GCB-R as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Frank, did you vote aye?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Next policy or next regulation is IUA-R. This is the one we've had a lot of conversation and discussion about. This is the promotion and retention procedure for promotion and retention of students in elementary and middle schools. So if you remember last time, we took a deep look at our policy. We had the presentation from our instructional team, and they asked for our support in providing an update to this policy. We have provided those updates with the feedback the board has given us, and we've also run those updates back through the instructional team and also back through student services, Mary Fisher, and folks in the school board office to make sure this checks out. And at this point, we feel pretty comfortable with this policy having the teeth we need to move forward. This regulation, excuse me.
Madam Chair, I have a question. So where it crossed out the child's resources teacher and it put other school personnel as needed. So the question is, the child's resource teacher, I'm understanding that it's like their specialists that they're working with.
So that's why it was crossed out. If they're special education students, they typically have resource teachers, and really resource teachers is an older term that's not used anymore. What we thought was other school personnel as needed kind of created that open-ended, if we see it appropriate to invite them to the meeting, and usually if they're a special education student, that would be their caseworker, maybe anybody that works with them outside of the classroom.
So the reason why I brought attention to this is because it's crossed out and it's saying as needed. So we're saying that it's not needed. Like if they are special education, their case manager is not needed unless these people think that it is needed.
They will be needed. But if you would feel more comfortable with, I just wonder if it just says other school personnel, if that doesn't get too inclusive. I think as needed means that if they're involved in that child, in making a decision for that child, they would most certainly be invited. But I also see the way you're interpreting it as well. Do you think it would be better said if we just put other school personnel as required?
I just would. So for the reason why I'm saying this is because if it is a special education student, their case manager or the teachers that are working with them should be
in attendance
of the.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that saying it as needed is leaving it up to interpretation for these other people to say whether or not they should be invited.
How about if required? Because it's a requirement for a special education student, but not a requirement for.
Yeah, I think as required it meets that need.
Did that do it?
Yeah, that does.
Okay.
Dr. Boyd, this policy addresses retention, but I don't see anything in there about social promotion, if that's still right. It says promotion, but promotion is different from social promotion.
Well, we will not socially promote. We moving forward. So the intent there is to not socially promote. It's to go through this possible. Would you prefer it said something about not socially promoting? Because we don't want it to. I mean, we want that really not to be part of the process. Okay. Mm-hmm. So approve as amended.
I would need.
Yeah.
Yes, I would need a motion to approve this policy. Is it a policy or regulation?
Regulation.
Regulation with the suggested change.
Second.
IUAR. Yes.
Who made the motion? Kathy made the motion. Seconded by Mr.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay. Next policy is JECB. Again, this is a VSBA update. This policy is titled Admission of Non-Public Students for Part-Time Enrollment. Again, it looks like what they've done with this policy is just change some definitions. So instead of, and I understand why, in that third paragraph, it says the parents of students attending private school, and they scratch private and put that into non-public because it's not always going to be a private school student, but it's always going to be a non-public school student. They've changed the word homeschooled instead of it being 2 words to 1 word. And again, I won't read through all of these, but if you work your way down, that's mostly the substance of these changes. And then you have some cross references that are check out as well.
I think private's more fitting because even private schools are open. What? Public.
I think let me. It could be in today's. There's a number of different schooling options that aren't necessarily private, virtual, homeschool. There's different options. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve policy JECB as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, final policy is LBD. This is the home instruction policy. And again, this is a VSBA update. And again, it looks like they've just reordered some words. For instance, that first paragraph says any parent of a child who is 5 years or older, and they have scratched a parent of any child who will have reached the 5th birthday, as opposed to 5 years or older. So again, it really means the same thing. They've just changed the wording.
Just changed it in February.
Yeah, and they want to change it again. And again, cross references at the end, which check out.
I move that we accept the policy changes for LBD.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
That concludes the policies. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Mr. Frank?
I have none.
Ms. Cleveland?
I'm thankful for Mr. Bush, who attended the governor's school board meeting in my absence, but now he is absent, so I do not have a report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Just announcing that for the Chesapeake Bay Governor School, the director, he's the director, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Jason Strong is moving on to a different school, so that's an opening there. Or I don't know what's going on there, but I know that he's accepted another position at Richmond County Schools. So we'll miss him. That's it.
That's it. So on the 19th of March, I went to the Gifted Advisory Committee meeting and talking about what's going on this summer and the number of students that are being evaluated. This is a very busy time of year for the elementary and secondary schools in terms of figuring out who's going to be where next year. And summer enrichment camp will take place the same time once again as summer school. That will be 8 days, the 2nd of June to the 12th of June. And registration should have been sent out the first week in April so that identified students' parents will be aware. And rising third grade will be included as well once they're identified. We have the governor school students identified in grades 6 through 12. I think pretty much all this is OBE now. Everybody should have applied and gotten there by the 15th of April, so it's coming up. Lots of good stuff going on there. And then we had STEAM night the same week, which was a huge success. I understand there was a lot of people, and I'm disappointed that I missed it. But thank you to everybody who participated and for all the great events that were had that night.
Dr. Boyd?
Yes, Madam Chair. So two things quickly that I think the board charged me with last time, I believe it was special use of school buses. I do want to provide an update to the board. I have worked with our Director of Transportation and worked out a policy and procedure where we put in place for special use of school buses. Now, traditionally, this is things like Fall Festival. This is things like, I think in the past they've done tours of the base with school buses. Sheets to Sheets Run is one that has come up in the past. This is typically community events in which they ask for permission to use school buses through the school division, and it's most certainly just a King George, no one outside of King George. So we went back, reviewed our current policy. The current policy is written in a way that requires superintendent approval ahead of time. The individual requesting use has to pay the fee for the bus driver and also the mileage for the school bus. They have to provide proof of insurance, similar to a rental car agency, and then they have to provide a statement that holds the school board harmless if anything were to occur with the bus. So we have that in order now, and just wanted to say that publicly so that those entities are aware that is the process moving forward. The board did charge me last time with some questions about the fentanyl activation grant. I think those questions, if I remember correctly, were, could anybody besides the counselors deliver the lesson? Could the lessons be delivered on the middle school level, and when will the lessons be delivered? So I reached out to Mrs. Fisher. The lessons from this grant are specific to high school, but it is important to know that they are intended to be supplemental to the SOL, so they are on top of the things that we already have to cover in the classroom. Which is opioid awareness is part of an SOL right now. Anyone can teach these lessons after they complete a 1-hour training video. Counselors were selected for the grant because it was a very short application turnaround period, less than a week, and that's what Mary had the ability to work through at that point in time. The grant period is from January to September, so the lessons are being taught during that time, but they're talking about how to continue those moving forward even when we move beyond the grant. As we move forward, we intend to continue to add more supplemental lessons, and it'll be a priority to do those through the PE and health classes. Okay. Now, I wanted to provide a brief budget update. So on the state level, where we are is the General Assembly, as I said last time, sent the budget to the governor. The governor reviewed the budget, had until, I believe it was the 23rd of March, I think it was, before sending it back to the General Assembly. He sent it back to the General Assembly with, I believe, over 200 amendments. The General Assembly took 1 day to review those amendments, sent it back to the governor. So there's a lot of things in flux on the state level right now. The only two calc tools that we have on the school division level to work from is the governor's calc tool and the General Assembly's calc tool. The governor now has until May 2nd to decide to do a couple things: either accept what the General Assembly has delivered him, veto the entire budget because it's a 2-year biennial budget. So if he vetoes, they fall back on the budget they agreed to last year, or he can break things out line item by line item and address them that way. So we're waiting until May 2nd, unless he acts earlier, before we finally get the final calc tool, which is going to give us some good information. Now, why is that important? Because on the local level, this Friday, we have a work session. I have a work session with the Board of Supervisors. They've requested some information, and they want some ballpark figures on what some things will cost. Specifically, they've asked us to come forward with the 3% salary increase, the cost of the healthcare, the cost of compression, and really a very limited budget builder that we've discussed all amongst board members. I will deliver those things. However, I can only give rough estimates in terms of cost because we're operating on 2 calc tools right now that we know that are inaccurate. So if we're operating off of the governor's calc tool, the additional funded needed is $2.2 million. And again, that's an inaccurate one at this point. If we're operating on the General Assembly calc tool, it's $1.2 million over what we're asking for this year. So this Friday, I will go and discuss that with the Board of Supervisors and see what else I can provide them so they can make decisions on the local budget. And again, they're attempting to make decisions on the local budget, maybe without state input, which is very difficult for the school division. Any questions about that?
Is that a Friday night work session?
That will be Friday from 8:30 a.m. right now, scheduled until 5:30 p.m. And as far as I understand it, I will be there at 10 a.m. ready to probably speak around 10:30ish. And it's here. There's been some conversation and discussion about the bonuses that teachers are afforded. Right now, the bonuses have made it into the budget from the General Assembly to the governor and from the governor back to the General Assembly. So we do believe the bonuses are going to be in there. There's a lot of leverage right now on how those bonuses can be paid out. Again, as I mentioned last time, those bonuses are provided to SOQ positions. So we need to get an idea of how much funds are going to be afforded King George to provide those bonuses. They are advertised right now as $1,000 bonuses. However, the state has given us leverage to change the amount of those bonuses to cover more individuals. I'm in contact with our other superintendents around the region to find out what they intend to do, whether they're going to find additional funds or whether they're going to make those bonuses a little less. And I can tell you in the past, we've done a particular number for a full-time employee, a particular number for a part-time employee. And there's some other things that we're taking a look at that we see other school divisions across the state considering right now. Some school divisions are considering that bonus a retention bonus, meaning it will be for those that are that intend to stay with King George County Schools moving forward. So we're weighing all those options. And again, we're making those plans under the assumption that it's going to be in the budget when it finally passes. Any questions about the budget? Any questions about the bonus right now?
Just to clarify, we don't have that money yet.
We do not have that money yet.
Thank you.
We do not have that money, and I can promise you, as soon as we get it, we will discuss it and work through it because it's certainly something our teachers deserve and are interested in.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd.
Yes, Madam Chair. And then I just wanted to provide an update on our CIP. Really quickly, last year we were afforded 5 projects in the CIP process. That was reconditioning the King George Middle School athletic fields, which we're working on right now. School bus replacement last year, which we have purchased those school buses. Potomac Elementary School sidewalk replacement was done over spring break, and I've heard good reviews from that. King George Elementary School gym floor replacement, which was also done over spring break. And the final one is the replacement of ramp and decks for the modulars at King George Elementary School, which we're still working on. I mention those because we're going through the CIP process for this year. Currently, the CIP process and working with the Board of Supervisors, as I understand it, they've approved 2 buses for this CIP process. They've approved the turf replacement at the high school and also the catwalk for the middle school. So I've already made the maintenance staff aware and the athletic department at the high school, and we're beginning to lay the groundwork for those projects moving forward. And then finally, we have secured the feasibility study for the vocational school, and we're working towards getting that complete before the end of this fiscal year. And that was a lot, Madam Chair, so I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frank?
Yes, first I'd like to thank all the teachers and staff for all they do. I'd like to thank the Potomac Elementary School first grade class for the Pledge of Allegiance. I thought it was great, and the little demonstration they made with their boards. I love the one little girl that kept a lollipop in her mouth the whole time. The hybrid inclusion presentation, I thought was really great, and I think that's going to help us out as far as social promotion and retention goes along that line. Since we don't have social promotion anymore, I don't have to use that terminology again. I had the pleasure of being with a group of people on Thursday to hire the new football coach. I'd like to thank Mr. Watson for putting that together and doing a fantastic job of running it and gathering the people that were on the committee. We had former coaches that were there. We had the athletic, or not the physical, yes, Hall of Famer that was there. We had the what do you call the physical therapist, the trainer. There you go. We had a trainer that was there, plus a few other people that really made it good. We had 6 candidates. They were all great that were there. We have selected one. I guess it's still going, and maybe an assistant that's out there. We'll see how that goes. I guess we're waiting on Beth to do her thing there, so that and hopefully we can get that done as soon as possible, so we can get this thing rolling and get the coaches with players. On Saturday night, I had the pleasure again of going to the ROTC ball, which is always fantastic. Mr. Watson was there, Dr. Boyd was there. Dr. Boyd had all of his three kids there, so it was really great. It's really done in a professional manner. Parents love it. Again, there was a total of 281 people there, which was great. And the students, the seniors that were there, I think 9 out of the 13 are going to a 4-year college. So that always makes it good. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Ms. Cleveland?
Yes, good evening. And I believe that it is Assistant Principal Appreciation Week, right? So I just wanted to acknowledge our assistant principal's commitment to our kids in King George. Really appreciate everything that you do. I hope that you are being spoiled this week for Appreciation Week. Also, really like to see Mr. Nels's class give the Pledge of Allegiance and also the instructional highlight for the literacy strategy that he implements in his classroom, which I think is just fun, and I love to see the kids' excitement with reading. So those instructional highlights I always very much enjoy, so I can see, what kind of strategies are being done in the classroom. The presentation for the hybrid inclusive, and I know that Ms. Owen was here. I wasn't sure about the other teacher's name, Ms. Robinson. So I recognize Ms. Owen because my son had her, and she is just an outstanding teacher. But the data was just profound. We can see the difference between the hybrid inclusion versus the regular, I guess, separation of the student. So I hope that we take that pilot that they did and did very well and try to implement it in some of our other schools. I'm a data-driven person, and seeing, that they took their time to do that and seeing the results of it, we can see that there was success, and should really consider that for our other school divisions. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cleveland. Mrs. Davis?
I just want to give a shout out to Mrs. Crenshaw who did the invocation. I enjoyed that. Ashton, he's a student at Potomac Elementary in 5th grade. He was really super excited to be here tonight to do the Pledge of Allegiance in front of the board, and it touched my heart. And good job to his parents for instilling that in him. I loved seeing the kids and being able to have it basically like Mr. Kraus, Mr. Naus, almost in a little class session in front of us. So we got to see with our own eyes how he teaches and how the kids are improving with the skills that he's teaching them. So that was really neat. So thank you for coming out and doing that. The inclusion, as Mrs. Cleveland said, and Dr. Frank, or Mr. Frank, probably is a doctor somewhere in there. That was incredible. That just says a lot, the data and everything like that. So hopefully we do continue to work that throughout all the schools. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. I just want to thank everybody that came out and presented in some way. And I want to say how much I enjoyed Eric and Savannah every time they come and they do. The student representatives, I think, are a huge, wonderful addition. And thank you to everybody still in the audience, the principals and vice principals who come and sit through these exciting meetings every time we have them. Only a few more weeks of school left, and let's go out strong. Thanks again. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. I'm sorry, Chair votes aye.